Okay, I wanted to do a video about driving in Thailand. I wanted to do one when I'm not angry about it, because in the past I've made Thailand videos, Thailand driving videos, and I've been enraged, when I did them, because probably they just happened, it's probably something happened just before where I damn near lost my life, so I was so angry about it and made the video. But anyway, I want to make this one because I hope it will help people to understand why driving in Thailand is dangerous, because it really is. I've seen more people with their heads cracked open and laying on the street than ever before, ever in America. And it's because there's so many motorbikes here. Driving in Thailand is different for me because I came from the US, so our roads are opposite, where I'm driving on the other side. So that's one problem you might have yourself if you also come from a country where the roads are the opposite. It's hard to get your brain acclimated to that, and you have to think about it all the time, and then every now and then, over the first couple of weeks, maybe months, maybe 2 months, every now and then I'd find myself wanting to turn into a way that was wrong, because my brain reverted back to US driving style, and I had to catch myself. So that's one thing you have to be really conscious of. Another thing about driving in Thailand is that if you have not driven motorbikes back in your country, don't come here to learn. This is not like you're on vacation at the beach at Myrtle Beach or in Miami or something like that. It's much different here. The Thais drive much differently than in America. We drive motorbikes, so I would really caution you not to rent motorbikes here if you're not very familiar with driving a motorbike back at home. One of the things I see often is people on motorbikes that don't understand the brake system, which you should not even be on the bike. But I've seen 2 girls in Koh Samui flip over the handlebars because they use the right brake. The disc brake on the front it's usually a disc brake, and it's much stronger, the right brake, the front brake, than the back brake is, because it gives you more power to slow down. People didn't understand they shouldn't use their front brake on a way down a hill, and they flipped the whole bike. One girl flipped over first, and then her bike came right after her, and I saw that. That was horrible. But you should know, you should be able to use your brakes instinctively. You should know whenever you're going around a corner never to use your brakes on the motorbike. You should know when you're going around a corner to be looking for sand on the road, because a lot of times on the road, especially if there's a bump on that road too, the big trucks that are carrying all the sand or dirt or whatever they have, gravel, will hit that bump around the curve, and then the gravel flies off on the side, and then you'll hit that on the motorbike, and I've seen some bad accidents like that too. Yeah, so I would say you can learn motorbike driving here if you are in a very small town. Do not do it in Pattaya, Koh Samui, Phang Nga, Phuket, Krabi, Nakhon, Chiang Mai, Khon Kaen. These are all big cities or big tourist areas where people drive like crazy, and you don't want to be learning how to drive a motorbike here. Don't say to yourself, "Oh, I ride my bicycle all the time back in England. I can drive a motorbike." It's completely different. Please don't say that, and take it seriously. I've seen so many bad accidents on the motorbike, and not always by the person that's driving, but it might be because of the Thai person beside you driving. It might be because of the person in the car driving. It might be just that you don't understand Thai rules, how Thais drive, and that's essential here. If you don't understand that, it's easy to die in these roads. Thais have their own style that is nothing like anything I've ever seen. Koreans have their own style. South Korea is a madhouse. I don't know how they drive there, but they do it, and that's their style, and it's probably not going to change. Malaysians have their own style. Cambodians, it's reckless, man. That's all I can say about Cambodia. So Thailand isn't even that bad, but it's bad. I mean, it's hard to get used to, but once you're used to it, maybe you can drive here. I have put on a motorbike, one motorbike I put 90,000 K on. Another motorbike, about 30,000 K. The motorbike we have now, I think we're up to 20 K. So, and most of that was me, almost all of that was me. So I've driven over 100,000 kilometers on a motorbike. That was over the first 6 years that I got here. The last 2 years we've had a car, and tell you the truth, I feel more comfortable on the motorbike by far. In a car, it's a matter of when I'm gonna crash that car, or when somebody's gonna crash into me. It's not a matter of if. So I'm very scared to drive the car. And the reason that is, people that drive motorbikes, all of us, you know, everybody that drives a motorbike is pretty aware that if they screw up, they're gonna really get hurt. I mean, bad. You're gonna really get hurt on a motorbike. People in cars are not, they don't think that way, I guess. They think they're surrounded by the metal and they're gonna be all right. They have the seatbelt, some of them have airbags, and they drive like real jackasses, some of them. And maybe it's because they feel safe, maybe, you know what I think it is? A lot of it is, you know, back in your country, maybe, probably your parents had a car. Probably your sister, brother, aunts, uncles, everybody had a car. You drove in a car for the first, 16 years of your life before you ever got behind a wheel. You were in a car with a driver, and you were, you're watching the road as well. You're learning all the rules. You're seeing how people drive in that car. Thais, for the most part, I think have not done that. Some of them are first generation car drivers. Their parents never had a car. Nobody they ever knew had a car. All of a sudden, they're driving a new Toyota Vigo 4-wheel drive giant truck because their husband bought it, and they have to learn. This woman has to learn how to drive it. And it can be a real horror show, man. I think that's what it is. I think that's most of what it is, and it will take decades to get to the point where driving gets better here. If it's going to get better, it might get worse for all I know. So that's something to consider. Motorbike drivers, I think, are more aware. They're more cautious. They're more polite to each other. And I love driving the motorbike. I had a real minor accident. A lady slammed her brakes on in front of me one time in a car, and so I hit the back bumper and I caused 2,000 baht worth of damage, which I just gave her. She was happy. So in 8 years, that's the extent of my accidents. And I've driven all over the place, man. I've driven from Ubon to Bangkok to Surat twice. I frequently drive 200 kilometers to back and forth, like from here to Phuket, here to Nakhon, here to Surat, here to Chaya, here to Satun on a motorbike, in the car sometimes as well. That's like 300 kilometers. But I've driven a lot here, and I really think I have a good understanding of how Thais drive. There's a whole, I could talk for an hour, I think, to help you, but I probably don't have it in me. What I would like to do too is to show you actual video of what Thais do on the road, so you can be aware of it and be ready for it. That's gonna involve a whole lot of editing, because I have to edit out everybody's license plates, and I probably just don't have time for it. I hope that recently somebody in Thailand announced that everybody should have, all visitors should get a handbook about how Thai people drive, because it will help save lives, And it might be true. I don't know how much a handbook is really going to do, especially if it's written from a Thai person, or from a Thai organization. It's probably not going to really be all that good, but hopefully it'll bring awareness to people that driving in Thailand is a horror show, and I really wouldn't suggest it. I want to talk about a couple of things that Thais typically do that you should be aware of, because these are the real dangerous things. One thing is, say you're on a motorbike and you're driving this way, there's car lanes on this side of you, and there's a left turn. From my perspective, it's left. So you want to make a left, somebody here wants to make a left turn in that car. So your motorbike is going here, the car will actually speed up, rush past you, and jam a left right in front of you, and you'll have to skid the motorbike sometimes to stop so you don't smack into the car. This happens this is regular Thai style. This is what they do. You can get angry about it. You know, I've held my middle finger up to somebody for like, I follow them for like miles, you know, holding my middle finger up to them in the mirror, you know, saying, "You're a jackass, you know, you almost killed me." It doesn't help. I mean, eventually somebody's going to get out of the truck or car with a gun and shoot me, but so far I've been alright. I've toned it down a heck of a lot. Now I just scream under my helmet like, "Jackass," you know. Anyway, so that's one move. Happens on a motorbike, happens in a car too. You might be a car here, a car here. This car will pass you, jam on the brake, you have to hit your brake, and then they'll make a left turn. It's ridiculous. It's so fucking ridiculous. Another thing you'll see is cars are driving like this. Some idiot will be driving a car up the left side of your lane, the opposite direction, because they don't want to go up and U-turn farther away. It's a farther drive for them, so they want to take a shortcut. So they'll come right up into your lane, driving the opposite direction, so they can make a turn there. It's I gotta get some of that on film. I gotta find a video editor that can help me block out the license plates, because these things happen every single day I'm here. Every single time I get in the car, especially motorbike, not so much. I don't notice much, but every single time I get in the car, there's at least one jackass on the road that just does a real bad move, you know, and just gets me angry from the start. It seems every single trip I take. So my trips are not far. I go 6 kilometers up there to the post office. I go about 12 kilometers down to the beach. And so yeah, I don't see all that many cars, but there's always somebody that doesn't know how to drive. My daughter even knows. She says, "Daddy, that person doesn't know how to drive." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." She's 3 years old, and she's just waiting for me to say it, but she says it first. What else could I talk about? Public transportation real quick, because you know they're on the roads as well. The guys driving the white vans, it seems like, are all on a death wish. I don't know what these guys are thinking, but to go from anywhere, from Trong to Phuket, from Surat to Phuket, from anywhere to anywhere, if you're driving in those white vans that have about 11 seats besides the driver, it's extremely dangerous. These guys are flying at top speed around the corners and stuff. They think they're good drivers, right? Because they know every corner and they know every pothole and everything else. But the one time that something changes, you know, a person steps in front of the road, a dog runs across, whatever happens, that driver is not perfect anymore and has to adjust, and then there's no room to adjust. They don't leave any leeway to adjust, and they crash. There's been some horrible crashes of those things. So I don't take the white vans at all. I just take my motorbike. I'll go 200K on a motorbike, even 300, to avoid taking those white vans. I can't stand them there. These guys blast on the road at 110, 120, take the curves just at a real precise, you know, angle that if they're off by a little bit, they're gonna roll the stupid van. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's so scary. Buses, like long trip buses at night, are also death traps. I mean, 40 people on a bus could die, you know, because the bus catches fire after it rolls over. Long bus trips at night are, I haven't done them since 2006. I said, there's no way in hell I'm getting back on a bus like that. They're too dangerous. I've seen way too many people die in the newspapers. Buses will flip. As soon as it starts raining, buses will fishtail around a bend and flip, like when they hit the shoulder of the road, you know, and just flip over and roll, and people die all the time. Oh, it's horrible, man. Keep in mind, whatever you see in the papers is not everything that's happening too. Thailand censors, you know, on a newspaper basis, on a national basis, maybe. They censor a lot of what happens here because we're not getting the full story. I've seen buses rolled over upside down on the highway close to us here that never makes the papers or internet at all. Nobody ever talks about it at all. Just the locals, you know, it happened right outside my house. You know, this bus flipped upside down. And you never see it in the paper. So much of it does not get reported. Trains, I take a lot. They seem pretty safe. There's only been a couple accidents here. I take trains all the time, overnight trains to Bangkok and where else. Planes are great. I've of course taken a lot of planes. My motorbike is great because I think I drive it pretty well. I had a motorbike back in the States, so I'm pretty familiar with it. Then I'm driving here for 8 years now. I think I'm very familiar with the way people drive, and I think I've assimilated into the Thai style of driving. Though I don't like it, I know what it is. Anyway, just you got to be extremely careful with a motorbike. You have to, if you're not very confident, comfortable, and skilled with it, I wouldn't drive it here in Thailand unless you're in a very small place, you know, Sisaket or some small city where you can just practice. That's a good place to practice. Koh Samui and Phuket are not great places to practice. There's a high chance you're gonna get injured there. I see many people walking around here with bandages all over their legs, and I know what happened already. They fell off the motorbike. Motorbikes are dangerous, man. A lot of people are dying here. I had a friend that he crashed into another three Thais on a motorbike that were coming this way. He was coming this way. They didn't stop at the side street, you know, intersection with the main road where my friend was. So my friend hit all three of them. They all flew off the motorbikes. My friend hit a curb with his head. His helmet did nothing. You know, the helmets here, like you could put a styrofoam cup on your head. That would probably help you more than the helmets here. He cracked open his head. He broke his jaw. He had brain surgery in Ubon, 2 brain surgeries. He had a piece of his skull that was sewed into his stomach to keep it alive between brain surgeries. I mean, it was just a horrible thing. His mind was messed up for months, and finally, you know, he recovered pretty much, but it's not something you want to go through. It happens a lot here. And actually, one of the guys he hit, I think, did one of them die? I can't remember. It was like 6 years ago. Anyway, so please be careful. If you can, take a motorbike taxi is probably the safest thing you can take. I've never seen a motorbike taxi in an accident. Even in Bangkok, though they drive like they're absolute jackasses, I've never seen an accident there in a motorbike taxi. Bangkok taxis are scary to me, but still I've never seen an accident. I've heard of them, but I've never seen them. You know, you have to take something, right? So what do you take? Short trip buses, I'm not sure if I mentioned it or not, but short trips between cities, like maybe you go 50 kilometers or something, are okay during the daytime. Those buses are pretty safe. They rarely crash. Long-term overnight buses, don't ever take them, man. I know 3 people already that 2 of them were injured badly in bus accidents that go overnight from Bangkok to here, or from here to Bangkok, Bangkok to somewhere else. And one girl, she wasn't really injured that bad, but her bus flipped over and she was still okay. But happens all the time. Please be careful. Please be careful. Take driving seriously in Thailand because it's so different from your country. All right.